He's a four-time MP representing Hamirpur constituency in Himachal Pradesh. Mr. Thakur is also a former president of BCCI. This session will be moderated by Vivek Mallya. Vivek Mallya is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and a certified public accountant in the USA. His area of expertise being international taxation, income tax, exchange matters, act and banking. The stage is now over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First lunch, post-lunch session. So let's hope it will be as interesting as the first half of the day has been. So the compeer has forgotten to mention one important part of the introduction. Shri Anurag Thakur has been the past president of the BCCI as well. So we'll begin the session with a question on the Indian batting lineup. Sorry. So going to the topic, money matters. So the way we thought we'll organize this talk is possibly give Anurag ji a quick 5-10 minutes on his view of the idea of Bharat and how money matters to the idea of Bharat. And thereafter, we have a few questions which we can request his views on, and then move on to the audience for a question answer. So just to help or prompt the discussion, the newspapers today have been very unfriendly to all of us, I mean, as a nation, and it's been repeatedly reminding us of the growth and the challenges around the economy. So my first thing, when you, as part of your initial thoughts, maybe you can cast some light as well on India as India's growth as compared to the global committee of nations as well.
Namaskar. A very good afternoon to all of you. Let me first thank the organizers for inviting me here and to be part of this Lit Fest. Rather than me taking 15 minutes to say what I want to, I would love to take your questions and the audience questions if there are any. So I'll be more than happy to do so.
We'll do that, yes. So the first question, like I was bringing out, today's newspapers have predicted certain growth numbers which some consider are worrying, but the ministry's thought and your thought as to how we are faring in the global context.
See, there is no denying about the numbers which came out in the today's newspaper. But we have to look at the larger picture. Structurally, our economy is very strong, the foundation is very strong. These are cyclical winds which this strong economy and with such good structural, when we say that are these structural winds or the cyclical winds, I'll say these are the cyclical winds. Structurally, we are very strong, fundamentally we are very strong. India is a strong economy. And that is why the world has faith in India. That is why we got $64.7 billion FDI, which is the highest ever. Why? People believe in India. People believe in the growth story of India. They want to be partner of India. A couple of days back, I was part of one of the function. In that room, we had people with more than $2 trillion investments made all over the world. Whether it is Australian Prime Super, or it was Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, or it was ADIA, or others with big investments looking at opportunities available in India. And if you look at the macroeconomic indicators, I think if you look at 2012-13, our growth at that time was 4.2, 4.3%. But post that 2014 to 2019, we grew at an average rate of 7.5% on last 5 years. Even if you look at the IMF, that World Economic Outlook, for 2020 they projected India to grow at 7%. If you look at the microeconomic indicators which I wanted to highlight earlier, fiscal deficit is under control. We brought it down from 4.9% to 3.4%. If you look at the CPI inflation, where it was in 2013 at 9.5% in the double digit during the UPA 2 time, we were struggling, at one stage in last 5 years, it was one time below 2% and one time at 2%. So the inflation was under control. Your FDI has increased. If you look at your total reserve, foreign exchange reserves, it is the highest ever, $447 billion. If you look at the total, capital inflow into India, that has increased year-on-year basis, many times. So all these figures shows that people believe in India. We need to believe more in our growth story. I think that is very important. We should have faith and trust in India's growth story. And that is why we set a target of $5 trillion economy for the year 2025. I am very hopeful because in the last 5 years, if you look at from $1.8 trillion, we have reached to $2.8 trillion. We have added $1 trillion in last 5 years. This is cyclical. You will see in the next quarter, the things are going upwards. The growth will go upwards. The initiatives taken by the government of India, look at the banking sector, for example. In this festival season, we had more than 370 camps organized by the banks. 2,35,000 crore rupees has been distributed through those camps. And that is why the sale of the automobile has gone up, the consumption has gone little up. You will see that in the coming time. If you look at the real estate sector, we have taken some steps. Close to 25,000 crore rupees has been provided to complete those unfinished projects. That will be close to 4,70,000 houses, helping 1,700 plus projects for completion in the next few months. So this is what the government of India is doing. I can go on and on what we are doing, but all I want to say is I have full faith in Mr. Modi, his policies, because he is known for taking big and bold decisions, and that is why the world believes in Mr. Modi.
I take off from what you mentioned, that foreign direct investments and the belief of foreign institutional investors and international investors in this economy and in the growth story which we are projecting is undeterred. So that shows in our FDI inflows. But just to play the devil's advocate, why is it that us as Indians are questioning our economy? I will not say our government. I will say our economy, and are we losing faith, and are we not taking the risks which we were otherwise taking in the past? So,
I'll give two examples in a way. One, when the world economy was growing at 3.8%, the IMF projected it to be at 3% or maybe a little lower than that. Whereas India growth is seen at 7% in the next financial year. So I think there is a lot of positivity there. Another example is if there is any feeling in the society that there will be shortage of something. For example, a shortage of, say, onion. So what will happen? People will start hoarding them. That will further do the inflation part. I think here is also the issues of sentiment also and consumption. I think we need to have a better demand, and that is why we, through the banks, reached out to various people whether they want to buy cars, houses or other products. And that is why I'm saying in the third quarter we'll see a better results with a lot of money going into the system. If you look at the banking sector, for example, a lot of mergers took place. Out of the 10 PSBs, it's going to be 4 PSBs now, with a bigger entity, more capital available, and at the same time the government of India has infused close to 2.5 lakh crore rupees in the last 3-4 years into the public sector banks to make them, compete with others, not only in India but globally also. I think in the coming years we will see the advantage. If you look at the corporate tax rate, I think post 1991, that was one of the historic decisions taken by us on the 20th of September. Bringing it down from 30% to 15%, nobody expected it. But Prime Minister wanted India to be the most attractive destination for investment. So we want all the companies to come and invest in India into the manufacturing sector. This is for the new ventures which will come and invest in India. But for the existing ventures also, We have brought it down from 30% to 22%. If you look at the MSME sector, earlier the cap was at 250 crore rupees. Now we have raised it to 400 crore rupees. Close to 93% industries will be covered under that, and they will only pay 25% tax on that. So I think there are certain steps taken by the government which will further boost investment as far as the new industry is concerned. For consumption, we held a lot of Grahak Melas to further distribute the money.
So when you mention about the banking sector, two things which come to our mind. One is the resolutions which are coming out of the NCLT as far as the insolvency and bankruptcy code is concerned. State Bank of India is seeing light at the tunnel at major recoveries from major assets. And as well as what you just mentioned, over 2 lakh plus crore rupees which is infused into the banking sector. So my follow-up question is, to boost consumption, is there something which the banking system now needs to stand up and, deliver for and on behalf of the government? So with my surname, I find it very difficult to carry out this question, but nonetheless. So is there something with the banking system now needs to stand up and deliver?
Let me, give you the background of the banking system. If you look at banks before 2009, pre-2009 era, the total loan was 18 lakh crore rupees. In 2014, it reached out to 58 lakh crore rupees. Can you imagine in 5 years during the UPA 2, the phone banking worked and 40 lakh crore rupees has been given to any Tom, Dick and Harry. So who's responsible for that? I'm not going into that. But post 2014, when our government came, we did the asset quality review. The loans and the balance sheets which were fudged and were kept under the carpet, through the asset quality review, we put it to the public domain. The banks came out with the NPAs, and we adopted a 4R approach. And what was that? Recognize the bad loans, then resolution, which is under the IBC and to resolve most of the issues. The recapitalization, which the government funded close to 2.5–3 lakh crore rupees into the public sector banks. And then the reforms. Reforms, huge list, there is a long list of reforms which took place in the last 5 years. These are for the longer period, not only to achieve the $5 trillion economy mark, but to also to achieve the $10 trillion economy mark in the coming years. For that, you need to have a better foundation, more structural reforms, that what we have done, and India is going to take the advantage of that. With the banking sector, the employees were feeling little uncomfortable. And in Bombay, during their Indian Bankers Association meeting, I said it during their general house, that no banker should have the fear, because any decision taken by them, a commercial decision in the interest.
Correct.
Not otherwise, but the commercial decision, it may fail, it may be right. There will be no witch hunt. There will be no witch hunt against any bank officials. We have told them that it will be decided within the banking committee. CVO will decide which are the vigilance and non-vigilance cases. And if there is a non-vigilance case, it will be taken care by the bank. If there is a vigilance case, the thing can go to the agency. And there is a 4-member committee also, which under Mr. Bhasin has been formed to coordinate with all the bankers in that regard. Once they are being recapitalized, look at the Union Bank of India. The merger of another 2 banks, Andhra and Corporation Bank, will make that entity a little bigger. Look, they are at number 5. But the number 5 position of the Union Bank with the merger of Andhra and Corporation, there is not much difference between the Canara Bank at number 3 position and the 5th position. So there will be a lot of competition in the market, and they're going to do better. I think there will be more transparency and accountability into the system, and more, I'll see a lot of possibilities to, after this infusion of capital, mergers, our banks will be in a better position to lend.
So I take from your 4 R's and possibly add a 5th R, which is a risk taker. There are 2 risk takers in the economy. One is the entrepreneur and one is a banker. So a banker takes a knowledgeable, informed call on a certain asset or a certain lending asset for them and lending for us. So, like you said, it's reassuring to hear from you that there's no witch hunt for a commercial, good risk-taking ability. So are we falling short on the fifth R, the risk-taking? So what are the things which you would like the banks to do in terms of driving consumption up, especially in the cooperative and regional rural banks and smaller banks as well? Because all the challenges which we face with cooperative sector banks and this apparent or the alleged or whatever acronym you can use, lack of faith in these cooperative banks, they have delivered in the past.
I think you asked a very important question. But if you look at the overall governing structure, regulator is RBI.
Correct.
They have their independent auditors. The state governments play a very important role because they are registered under the State Act. And that is why the regulator and auditor has to play an important role. There has to be more transparency and accountability of these cooperative banks. And if you look at the last 70 years plus history of India, it is the urban cooperative banks which have failed couple of times.
Correct.
With the multi-state functioning. If you look at the rural banks, the states pitch in and provide funds from time to time, also capital from time to time. As far as the rural banks are concerned, there is also consolidation going on, making it a bigger entity to, to cut down their expenses as well, to make it more profitable, to strengthen them with a better capital and a bigger market available with them.
So I think two very important and possibly the two most talked about subjects in the last few years. One is, I cannot skip that, demonetization and of course GST. What now, looking back after all these years after demonetization and implementation of GST, what are the 2-3 things which you as the finance ministry are happy about, and what are the 1 or 2 things which you could have, we could have done better as a nation?
Let me first say that I'm proud of the decisions taken by the Prime Minister Modi. These are big, bold decisions in the interest of the country, for the future of the country and for the future of the Indians. And let me also thank all those taxpayers. Let me also thank all those taxpayers who are honestly paying their taxes for the welfare of the society, for the growth of the country. My words are not enough to thank them. Post demonetization, if you look at the tax base, it had increased more than 50%. If you look at the tax collection, from 7.4 lakh crores, it has gone more than 11 lakh 40,000 crore rupees. You could never imagine that kind of collection going up in less than 3 years' time. And who did it? The initiative was Mr. Modi's, but it is the honest taxpayers and the Indians, for the India's growth, they come on board. And I'm sure it is going to grow in the coming years as well. Look at the Sabka Vishwas.
Dispute resolution scheme.
Dispute resolution scheme. People are coming forward. The government is, giving opportunity. There was no scheme like this in the last 50, 60 years. Other schemes were not even comparable. You're giving away close to 70% of the amount.
Here taxes are not being given up. Interest and penalties are being waived off. Yeah.
So if you look at that, a lot of people are coming forward. But let me request them, don't wait for the last day.
Correct.
The way you wait to
very
file
difficult
your
for
return.
us as an accounting community to accept, but
So,
nonetheless.
Yes, they should start doing it now. That is one. And I think on the GST, with 1.3 billion Indians, with the federal structure, all the decisions, despite that, all the decisions were taken unanimously.
Unanimously, yeah.
More than 900 decisions were taken unanimously. This shows the strength of India. I think that is why the world is willing to invest in India. That is and the young population. We need to take the advantage of demographic dividend available with us. Look at the talent. There was no platform earlier for the startups. In the last 5 years, India from nowhere jumped into the top 5 startup countries in the world. That's the achievement of young India. And when they wanted some help from Mr. Modi's government, I can share it on this platform.
Please do.
My first meeting with the Prime Minister, the first thing he said, what about the startups demand? I need to stand by the youth of this country. They have immense potential. I want all their issues to be resolved. Look at the vision of the Prime Minister. All their demands have been taken care. And I can assure you here on this platform, if they have anything which they want to be addressed, I'll be more than happy to listen to them and address their issues, because this is the priority of Prime Minister Modi. And second is the MSME sector.
Correct.
Which is the backbone of our economy. They create a lot of employment, self-employment opportunities. This 59-minute scheme to provide loans, I think there were close to 2.5 lakh applications. Out of that, 1,61,000 has been looked into, and close to 52,000 crore rupees has been earmarked to be disbursed. I think close to 40,000 crore rupees has already been disbursed to them. So we are trying to make changes. Look at the MSME sector. Another issue was the refund lying with the GST department.
Correct.
Along with the FM, we took a call that we will refund the money to the MSME sector within 30 days. 92% MSMEs have got their refund within 30 days. We delivered what we said. We said we will give you the faceless assessment in the income tax department.
Correct.
We started it on the Vijay Dashmi day, which is within 30 days we started that. 58,322 cases has been given initially for the faceless assessment. I can assure all the audience present here, our government, any decision we take, we are taking every decision in the interest of the country. It may pinch you today, a little bit, but in the longer run, to cater to the needs of 1.3 billion Indians and to be among the top 3 economies in the world, we are laying the foundation today. And trust me, if we said we'll get away and there will be abrogation of the Article 370 and 35A, that is the first thing we done in the first session of the
Correct.
NDA 2. We said we'll give justice to the Muslim women, triple talaq is abolished. Your long-awaited dream of Ram Mandir, now that has also been fulfilled by the Supreme Court of India. So major issues has been taken care. As far as economy is concerned, I can assure you, we are taking every step in the right direction so that more investment should come into India. We should have more employment and self-employment opportunities in India. And we should achieve the target of $5 trillion.
One last question before we go to the audience. China. So China as a nation, China as an economy, and the role it plays or interplays with India. Your thoughts on that? Because should we be afraid of China, or are they a partner, or how do we deal with this?
You know, I'll take you back to Vajpayeeji's era. And I just want to take a minute before that. I used to play cricket. I used to, be captain of the Punjab team and the North Zone team way back in the 90s. But immediately after that, I started my export house. I used to travel to US and Europe quite frequently. In 1997, around 15th of August, I was there in Chicago for a trade fair. The papers published that India, a country of snake charmers and beggars. I felt bad. I said I shouldn't come back to US after this. But post 1999, the view about India, the perception about India has changed, because Mr. Vajpayee showcased the world, India is a world power. Pokhran 1, Pokhran 2, you could see we have shown the world that we have. And despite the economic sanctions, we didn't budge.
Correct.
We have, we should pitch it to the world that come and invest here. There's a huge market available, and you can piggyback on this domestic market to export from here. Look at the automobile sector. They are catering to the demand of Indians, and they're also exporting from here. With this 15% tax available for the manufacturing units now, I believe there's going to be a lot of companies coming in here to address your issue of China. With the US-China trade war, I see a lot of companies moving from China to India, because India is the only market which can give you a lot of domestic consumption and demand, and you can also piggyback to export on that. And the second issue is, today's India, this new India of Mr. Modi, is very different from previous years. We had the guts to say to the world that the RCEP is not according to the wishes of India, does not fulfill the ambitions and the demands of India, so we do not want to be part of the RCEP. We denied it, and now the world is coming back to India to say we will make certain changes as per the demands of India. This is new India, this is Mr. Modi. If it is not in the interest of our farmers, if it is not in the interest of our MSME sector, if it is not in the interest of India, we can take that call. As far as China is concerned, I'll take you back 10 years back. The policies of UPA government and the FTA signed during that time has given away too much rights to the other countries. You check post 2004, it was one-sided kind of business with the UA, bilateral trade. You can check how many times the China trade has increased. India has become an import hub. 83% of mobile phones what you are using are made in the Chinese companies. Electronic goods, it is Korea and China. And that is why when we came in the NDA 1, Prime Minister Modi said two big areas, fossil fuel and the electronics, where we spend a lot of our foreign exchange in importing. Energy is required, so we have to spend on that. But electronic goods, why can't we have more and more manufacturing units here? You look at the Samsung invested heavily in India, now they have their largest plant in India. There are many companies who have invested here and started building here, but still they are assembling here. We need to go one step further. As far as the fossil fuels are concerned, we have made a huge shift for e-vehicles. We have cut down the GST from 12% to 5% so that there should be balance between the fossil fuels and the solar energy available in India. We have put a lot of solar plants, whereas the UPA just talked about the solar energy. We have been the leaders as far as the Inter-Solar Alliance is concerned. This is Mr. Modi, who have given the leadership along with the France to the world. And we have the headquarters in Gurgaon now. I think look at the solar energy, solar plants, which earlier used to cost 6 rupees per unit. Today it has come down to 2.25. You can understand the new industry, the new segment we have created. Okay. So we want to increase our footprint in the renewable energy. We want to have more and more electrical and hybrid vehicles in India in a phased manner, so that the current industry can also survive. If you look at the automobile industry, because of the Supreme Court decision that no Bharat 4 stage vehicle will be allowed post March 2020, they had a difficult time. In just 2 years, they leapfrogged from Bharat 4 stage to direct to Bharat 6 stage. But the government of India has given additional 15% depreciation to the companies for these Bharat 4 stage vehicles. Now they got rid of their stock what they had. They had good sale during the festival season. We have deferred the registration fee, which was supposed to be increased now to the June 2020. Apart than that, more incentives have been given to various industries to move in the right direction.
One last question, sorry. Really the last question before I go on to the audience. I know Mantriji wants to interact with the audience much closely, but there are 3 more years left in this UP, 4 more years left in the NDA 2, NDA 3, let me say, really, government. Anything which you have set yourself as a personal target for the next 3 or 4 years?
Personal target. I mean,
in the Ministry of Finance.
I think for all of us, for every Indian, Prime Minister Modi has already
Visualized.
visualized what is the target for all of us to achieve the $5 trillion economy mark, and to achieve that, how to give the most attractive offer to the world with 15% corporate tax. And I think it is a big attraction to the world to bring in more manufacturing units into India, which will help us to have more of, manufacturing industry in India, to create more jobs. The aspiration of young India, new India is on the very higher side. Where are we doing well as startups? We are doing well as a country. I think it is very challenging for any government, because the world has a lot of expectation from India. They see us leading in various sectors. And I'm sure the way Prime Minister Modi is leading India, I see him working from close to 19 to 20 hours every day. That kind of commitment in the last 20, 25 years, not even a single day break by any Prime Minister, that is Prime Minister Modi. And I'm glad the Indians have given us such leader who can lead us from the front, and being the soldier of Mr. Modi's army, we are ready to lead.
Thank you, Mantriji. Okay, let me just repeat the question.
I think it's a very good question, I believe. BPCL is making profit, why are we selling it? Would you like to buy anything which is making huge losses? And do you think the government should be in the business? Government is here to facilitate. And I think government has taken the right step to monetize the assets available with us. Whether it is the Shipping Corporation of India, our need is to have more effective system, effective management. And I personally feel, rather than the government, private sector can give us a better effective management. And that is why, whether it is Concor, whether it is BPCL, whether it is Tihri Hydro Power or the Northeast Power, these has been put on block to raise money and to be invest further into the India's growth story. I think the government needs money to invest. And that is why we have set a target of 100 lakh crore rupees into the infrastructure sector. That will create a lot of jobs and have a better infrastructure. See, if your exporters have to compete, if you have to ship anything from Ludhiana to Mumbai and Mumbai to further to Europe or America, you should take the least time from inland to the port. How will you do that? Either railways, freight corridors, national highways. For that you need funds. How do you generate funds? This is the way to do that.
Sir.
So we'll move on. I think the youngster there wants to ask a question about the next generation.
Sir, hi.
Go ahead, sir. I can hear you. Yeah.
So, hi. Thank you for coming to Mangalore.
Yeah.
I have one question, sir. So the economic survey of 2018 recommended Indian government retirement age for a government employee to be extended to 70 years of age. I didn't understand at the onset, some people are claiming that there are record high rates of unemployment. How does this come into play now that we want to increase the age of retirement? One, is it because it is an unofficial, it's not like government India has accepted this, that government India does not have the funds enough to give the retirement benefits to the government employees that are going to retire in the next couple of years? Is it true or not? Thank you for coming to Mangalore, sir, again.
I mean, there are many issues which have been comes as suggestion.
Yeah. These are suggestions which are taken positively, I guess. So.
What was the...
Sir.
Which industry?
Pharmaceutical industry, you said, sir. I can hear your question, but I would
Can
request
you
the
use the
organizers
mic,
to
please?
use
In the meantime, I'll take that question.
Go ahead, sir.
Sir, I have one request with the finance ministry, sir. Sir, I come from a rural background, and the problem is with respect to Jan Dhan account, sir, the flagship scheme of PM Modi. Sir, right now what problem my neighbors and people in my village face is, sir, most of these Jan Dhan bank accounts, sir, they are new to banking, sir. So the tendency is most of these accounts are little bit dormant, sir. They are not very active. So what bank has done is, they have, bankers, sir, most of the banks, they have more or less frozen these accounts. And because of that, when they try to avail Mudra loans or any loan scheme of banks, now they are in need of getting checkbooks and other facilities, sir, to get the accounts activated. So they are not able to avail the loans because of not getting checkbooks and other other responses which banks has to take up, yeah, to get them loans.
Let me address this way. You know, pre-2014, there were millions of Indians who did not have even a bank account. 37.6 crore new Jandan accounts were opened in just 3 years' time. That is what we call the financial inclusion. When people, a lot of bankers also said it may not be possible, we made it option for a zero frill account, and I thank the Prime Minister Modi and the bank officials and their employees also for reaching out to every household and opening new bank accounts, close to 37.6 crore bank accounts. And the money deposited in that is close to 1,06,760 crore rupees. So if there is any dormant account, I don't think so they can be denied a Mudra loan. They should not be denied. And if you look at the Mudra Yojana, crores of loans have been given in the last 5 years, close to 8-9 lakh crore rupees has been already been distributed. If there is any such issue, if you can give me the name of the banks, we will work on that. I'll speak to the concerned officials on that.
The gentleman from the pharma industry. Yeah.
I'm from pharmaceutical industry. Just I want to explain you. If I'm having a pharmacy, we are getting 20% discount. Means 20% margin. While the MedPlus or MedLife, they are giving more than 20%. We are getting within 20%. How can we survive? Just tell me, sir. You got me my question?
No, your question is about the margins you are making. I'm sure the Mantriji can.
We are getting 18% when they are giving 20% discount. How can we survive the pharmaceutical?
Okay, you're talking about the discounts given by online retailers.
Yeah. Online means MedLife, MedPlus, I'm telling you. Online you leave it. And another one, yeah. No.
I think this not only restricted to the pharma sector, but the overall industry. I was reading today's paper, there was something which has been mentioned from the Black Friday to Block Friday kind of thing. So this is the challenge which the e-commerce has thrown. On one hand, the consumer is benefited, but on the other hand, if you see the small marginal traders, they are feeling the heat of it. And I think the government of India is also looking into that. Commerce Minister is aware of it. During our recent talks also this issue has been taken. In the last 5 years when I was representing the Indian Parliament in the WTO steering committee, we also was taking to the other countries also that it is too early for India to have an e-commerce policy or to open our market for everyone. I think we have a point here which we understand and we take note of that also. Government is aware of it and will take every step whatever is required in that direction.
Sir.
Today we are blessed to have our popular Prime Minister, one Mr. Narendra Modi ji. Do we have another 30 Narendra Modi jis to achieve what we expect from the economy? Because what I mean is we need another 30 chief ministers who can think like Narendra Modi ji. How is the central government motivating the state governments to follow the path of the central government? One question. Second, for the last 70 years, 70% of the Indian population, that is the rural India, is totally neglected and ignored. They are undernourished, underfinanced, and whatever ills are there, that is present in the Indian economy.
Who is undernourished?
70% of the Indian population, rural India. So how is the 70% of the Indian population taken care in the next 5 years of India 3?
One, to address the issue of federal structure where the 30 states have to play a large role, I believe every state and every Indian has to play a role. When I see a lot of FDI coming into India, eventually it goes to the states. So they have to facilitate it. The time taken to provide the necessary permissions from environment to various other permissions available. I think every state should set a target and timeline to achieve, the period within that they should give the permissions. That is one. Many states, in the federal structure, we are competing with others. When we say it's cooperative federalism, I think it is taking the Indian states to the competitive federalism as
Can
well.
talk about the
Where the
cooperation
state-
and the GST as well.
Where the states are vying with each other for more competition. Many states have done extremely well. If you look at this Vibrant Gujarat, post that, Vibrant Goa, Invest Himachal, Invest Punjab, MP, Magnificent MP, those kind of conclaves are also taking place to get in more investments. So I think every chief minister has a role to play. On the other hand, where they have a challenge of providing those number of jobs to the young population, government and non-government jobs, they need more investment into their states also. So it is not that the CM or the respective state governments are purposely denying any entry or delay into the system. I don't think so that is happening. But the issue is how effective our system could be. So I think it is up to the leader who is leading the state. It varies from one state to another. Secondary issue of malnutrition, कुपोषण जिसको हम हिंदी में कहते हैं. We started a Poshan Bharat program. We launched it, and on this coming week, we are having a All India launch on that also. I was part of a small group of MPs who initially started it in the 15th Lok Sabha. Our report came out when we had Manmohan Singh ji and Amir Khan on board, releasing the report on the malnourished children in this country. It was us few MPs who did that job, not the government. And we, visited many states, met many chief ministers from Bihar to Odisha, Maharashtra as well, and they have done extremely well in that direction. They have taken initiatives. The numbers are getting better, but we need to do a lot in that direction because it will impact what we call the demographic dividend available with us. The young population should not be malnourished.
Right. Last one or two questions, please. Been
Hello,
prompted
sir.
for time.
Hello, sir. This is a question related to energy sector, most of it. So we are changing from renewable to non-renewable to renewable energy sources. So that is from fossil fuel economy to like in the most of the eastern part of the Asia, like Korea and Japan, they are going for hydrogen-based economy. And if you see in India, we are not working at all. Only few institutions are working on it, and I have worked on it, so I know it very well. And what is India doing? What is the government thinking of it? And even getting to the EV, there is a backdrop that we don't have lithium-ion reserve, so we have to get it from Chile. So that is the one backdrop which, even though if we go for EV, we will be burdening. We have to export things. So what is government doing for that? So hydrogen can be a very useful. We already have a solar-based plants already in place. So what is your?
I think with the innovation, there's a lot of opportunities taking place. Not limiting to the one sector of lithium and all that. There are many possibilities now. If you look at the lot of research taking place today, not one option, there will be 20 options in future. The scientists are working in that direction. Companies are pumping a lot of money into the research and development. And that is opening the doors. So India is not depending on one side of it. If you look at it, some portion will be the fossil fuel, some will be the solar, renewable energies, other, like from wind to the hydropower and all that. That is one area. As far as the batteries is also concerned, we are not limiting ourselves to one. Disruptive technologies will open up doors for many other options.
Put into research and development. In February month, TIFR faced a fund problem also.
See, we have opened up it for the CSR fund also, which could be invested in the research and development now. And at the same time, there are many companies who are willing to partner with India to pump in more money into the research and development in India.
So the last
innovation
question.
fund is
12 o'clock. Sir, this question is more about 40 years or 50 years down the line, what will happen to the population, which is right now our demographic dividend. Today we are young, we are kicking, But these all people are going to get old and they're going to get retired one day and they're going to need a lot of retirement money. Is government doing anything to build that investment cycle from the school level? Because I don't see that in curriculum. And if you see world over, like United States is the biggest economy in the world. Today, 65% population of United States is actively investing in the equity markets there. But we have that number at 2%. So is the government going to do something to bring more participation from the population for their own benefits? Obviously, because they have to get benefited from it.
I'll answer it in two
purpose.
parts. One, if you have, if you look at the growing population, if you look deep into it, where you see more educated, literate society, the child per family, will not be more than 2.
Correct.
It has come down to 1 or maximum 2.
Nuclear families, yeah.
But to address your area of financial literacy, we have 1,483 financial literacy centers in India. In more than 3.5 lakh camps have been organized last year. A previous year to that was 2,65,000 plus camps organized. This last year we have also tied up with the common service centers to create more awareness among the masses in their pockets. Now we have tied up with the Nehru Yuva Kendra, which will be to tie up with them and to create awareness among the volunteers of Nehru Yuva Kendra, also use them to create more awareness and financial literacy programs among the members. Atal Pension Yojana is one Yojana where from the age of 18, you can start investing according to your needs. Whether you want 1,000 rupees per month pension or 5,000 rupees per month pension, up till the age of 60, you can invest in that. Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Manthan Yojana is for the traders, benefiting more than 3 crore traders in this country. So we are trying to look after every sector of the society, but you rightly said, to have a financial literacy program in the country which will help people to invest at the early stage for their retirement plans.
Okay, thank you, Mantri ji.
But अगर आप आज से 5 साल पहले देखेंगे तो लोगों के बैंक खाते भी नहीं थे और इंश्योरेंस भी नहीं थी. In last 5 years, we have 37 crore plus Jan Dhan accounts, 22 crore policies in the Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. Slowly and gradually, the people are getting more aware, and the government is doing the hand holding also. If you look at the figures, more than 5,000 crore rupees has been disbursed to those people who died, either in the accident or otherwise, out of those pension schemes. Life insurance and the accidental insurance schemes.
I'm sure there are a lot more questions, but I'm just being prompted by the organizers to hard close. So I will end by thanking Mantri ji for coming all the way to Mangaluru, and I hope you enjoy the good food here before you go back. So thank you very much. Thank you to the audience, and thanks Mantri ji once again.
Thank you, sir. I would now request the MD of Karnataka Bank, Mahabeshwara MS sir, to present our delegates with a memento on behalf of Mangalore Lit Fest. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause for Shri Anurag, Thakur and Shri Vivek Mallya.